To get a competitive advantage in the 21st century, companies are striking all kinds of alliances and partnerships with suppliers, with customers, and even with competitors. That's a great idea, but in reality, fully half of these will fail. Here in the studio to talk about ways in which companies can get the most out of these collaborations is Andrew Shipilov. He is the Associate INSEAD Professor of Strategy, and Tim Rowley, who is Professor of Strategy at the Rotman School of Management of the University of Toronto. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In your new book, Network Advantage, which was also co-authored with Heinrich Greve, who's an INSEAD Chaired Professor of Organization and Management Theory, you explore how firms can unlock maximum competitive advantage by getting the most out of these alliances and partnerships. Tell me, what do you mean by network advantage?
Well, as you said, network advantage is the ability of the firms to outperform their competition by leveraging the alliances which they have with customers, suppliers, and perhaps other competitors. And we have done a lot of research on the subject, which has shown that the structure of these alliances and how firms manage them actually matter for their costs, matter for their efficiencies, matter for their ability to differentiate, matter for their ability to innovate, and essentially matter for their ability to become profitable. And how the firms can become more profitable by leveraging the networks, that's the theme of the book.
I see.
Yeah, and I think just building on that, there's pieces that can be unlocked from the network, not just the partnerships, but the network around you of alliances. So there's power, there's cooperation, there's a whole bunch of things in the network that's available to you if you're conscious of them.
I see. Well, you mentioned in the book that most executives don't think about the way in which these alliances and these partnerships fit together. And in not recognizing that, they're losing a lot of the competitive advantage that they could see. Why are executives not thinking about this? And what are the competitive advantages that they're not reaping from this?
Yeah. So there's two things leading to that. One is when we think of our environments around our organizations, we often think of industry definitions. So who are your competitors? And that is getting more difficult today because if you take a company like Apple, you say, what industry are they actually in? It's difficult. It's entertainment, it's music, it's software, it's hardware. It just blurs a whole bunch of the traditional definitions. But if we take a different view, which managers aren't really taking yet, and think about all of the alliances around you, the ones you have, the ones that your partners have, that's another way of conceptualizing your environment. And when you do that, you can unlock lots of advantages that are available to you by looking at it that way. It's not just your strategic position, but it's your network position.
I see.
When we teach this in our classroom or when we work with companies, we often find that in the company there's a particular position called alliance manager. And that person usually is in charge of a particular alliance. But when that person is in charge of a particular alliance, that person doesn't think about other alliances or partnerships that the company has. And furthermore, what the companies often don't realize is that pretty much everybody who deals with the external environment, being that with a customer or with a supplier, or doing some kind of collecting some kind of competitive intelligence, could be playing the alliance manager role, because these people actually help the organization to receive information and knowledge from the external environment, and these people could help the company extract network advantage. Companies are not set up for that yet. They all think that alliances are managed individually and not managed as a system. And what we'd like to propose to the company is that they think of alliances and partnerships more broadly and think of almost that every senior manager in the organization should be playing the role of the alliance manager.
In the book, you talk about 3 degrees of network advantage. What do you mean by that, and how do you actually use these 3 degrees of advantage?
The first degree network advantage comes from the ability to manage individual alliances. Because, of course, all of your alliance network and partnership network is built out of individual alliances. And there we're asking executives to think systematically about how they could find better partners, more complementary partners, more compatible partners, and how those partners individually may fit to the strategy of the firm. The second degree is thinking about how do these partners depend on each other, how the relationships between partners matter for the structure of the firm's entire alliance portfolio, how the firm can adjust its alliance portfolio to fit the firm's environment, to fit the industry in which it's in, and also to fit the firm's strategy. And the final lever, the third degree, is about how do you enhance your visibility in the industry? How do you signal that you are an attractive alliance partner? How do you make sure that what you know in the firm and what you would want to communicate to the broader industry gets spread there. And how can you convert that again into the lower costs, greater efficiency, or higher differentiation?
What examples would you cite of firms that are successful in leveraging the network, and what are the examples of those who you think face major challenges?
Samsung has been really good at building a very expansive, very large network of partners from very different industries. If you looked at the Samsung's partners, you would have some firms which you would expect Samsung to have partnerships with, such as, for example, IBM, Korean Telecom, Intel, but there are some partners which you would not expect Samsung to be working with. For example, IKEA. So Kia Motors makes cars. So what kind of business does Samsung have with making cars? As it turns out, well, Samsung makes important components for the car's electronics, but on top of that, they're also developing products which are basically fitting a car into a tablet, in the sense that it's not the car which becomes the center of the driving experience, but rather it is the tablet which Samsung has developed and has been quite successful. And the competitive advantage then becomes not just Samsung's ability to manage the relationship with Kia, or not just the Samsung's ability to manage its relationship with IBM or Juniper Networks, but rather to learn across those relationships and combine something which Samsung learns from IBM and transfer that knowledge to the relationship with Kia.
And are those companies that face challenges in this area of using networks to their advantage?
There's many of them, but let's focus on another group, the entrepreneurs. So many entrepreneurs don't have the assets that are required in order to pursue their strategies, and they need a network around them to fill in finance, labor, a whole bunch of different areas they need access to. The ability of the entrepreneur or young venture to actually be successful, and you can see the paths of success versus failure, is really a function of how well they understand and utilize their network. So are they able to get close to the parts of the network where the information and the money flow? And there's many studies that show young ventures, based on their network, will fail or succeed in terms of things such as how quickly they get money, access to capital, the amount that they get, and what type of innovation is available to them. And once they're in the right network, there's a spotlight on them. They gain status, they gain credibility, and through that they can grow and they can actually pursue the strategy that they have, where other entrepreneurs aren't able to see or not conscious of the network effect, and therefore they miss out on that opportunity, never able to leverage the great ideas which started the company in the first place. So many examples of this, and several of them in the book.
Well, Andrew Shipilov and Tip Rowley, thank you very much for being with us today on INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.